And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to round out the first day here of the week. We've got one final match, and it's a pretty interesting one. We've got Toronto going up against Philadelphia. Both these teams currently tied in the standings, so getting a clean victory going to be very important for both of these squads.
That's right. If you take a look at the standings, you'll notice that these teams are sitting right next to each other in terms of score right now at 6 and 3. You can see Defiant is just a few maps ahead of the Philadelphia Fusion right now, but we're looking to see one of these teams jump up into the top 3 at least temporarily here for tonight. With the pacing here for both of these teams, it's tough to say which one of them comes in as favorites. You look at this matchup as a close matchup because it's hard to say this team looks stronger right now because they both have had their ups and downs.
They certainly have. I mean, dropping maps to the likes of Florida and Justice. Both of these squads have suffered some map losses to some of the weaker teams in the league as of late. Philly still kind of struggling to bounce back from the dominance that they saw at the end of the inaugural season. But Toronto looking very good, but then losing out on the Stellar. Toronto, they have IM37 coming back in, but we did see them, as mentioned, drop that map to the Washington Justice at the end with Jungle down.
When you look at these two teams dropping maps to weaker squads, it makes you wonder, why are these teams look dominant? They are high up in the standings, but they still just aren't perfect yet. What are they missing? And it's tough to say. Both of these teams had strengths previously last year in different metas, right? For the Fusion, it was in a more Widow-oriented meta. That's where Carpe got famous. For a lot of the members that are on the side of the Defiant from Contenders Korea, it was also in a different meta. We saw a lot of Widow back then, a lot of Genji, a lot of Dive. Ivy and Carpe are two players that are both kind of coming into this Zarya role right now, and even though they look stable by the end of stage 1, they're just still not up there with the greats. And you think of Carpe as being one of the best DPS players in the world, and he is. But when DPS means you're playing a tank in this meta, it's hard to shine as much. Yeah,
Ivy, started things off really iffy in that first series, but has surged forward, has become one of the better Zaryas in the league, even if it is a little bit quiet. Toronto have kind of flown under the radar, made their way into that top 3, but now people are paying attention. IM37 is bringing a bit more personality to the squad as well. But let's go ahead and bring him out on stage. Our first team, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the Toronto Defiant.
There he is, IM37, coming out of the gates here with his squad. And, this is a team that has a lot of potential in this stage now that they've picked him up because he's a very good Widowmaker player. And Widowmaker has been a lot more relevant in, a meta that is not as revolvent around 3-3. We see a lot of maps in this pool that allow you to play that wide open space. We'll be starting with this lineup. Again, he's replacing Stellar, the recently retired, and Roki kind of closing up this lineup with Neko as well, one of our better Batiste we've seen in the first 2 weeks of competitive play of him.
Now, we saw Asher starting things off for them last week, but IM37 looking pretty good with the Tracer, with the Widow. Let's see what they have in store for us today. Maybe he's got some more goodies to pull out, but they have to try to take down their opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring them onto the stage. It's the Philadelphia Fusion.
Philadelphia Fusion, they are the runners-up of the inaugural season, and in some ways it feels like it's strange to mention that now because we're in a new season, we're 2 stages in now, but they deserve that respect. They've earned that respect throughout the first year of Overwatch League, and this roster still looks strong. There's just a few things missing, that in this meta that are, you could feel it if you're a Fusion fan, but we are seeing more Widow. As I mentioned before, Carpe will be on the starting lineup. He's been in the starting lineup every time. He's playing the Zarya right now. Sato here over Fraggy again. Not a surprise anymore because we've been seeing him exclusively throughout this season. But it's exciting to see now what will happen for the world's most famous Widowmaker player in Carpe matching up against one of our newest rookies in IM37. IM37 made a really fast name for himself because of how quickly he made his way into Overwatch League from, the not even tier 2 scene, but from open division to a contenders team to now Overwatch League. He started off great on the Widow. He's not perfect by any means, but it's kind of a cool storyline to see this newer player, this newer Widowmaker who could end up being a star compared to one of the greats. And we may see that Widow matchup here depending on how the map pool sets out.
Yeah, somebody who's been around for so very long with Carpe. I'm 37. You imagine that this has got to be a pretty high-pressure situation for him, a bit of an arduous task to try to take him down if it does move into that Widowmaker 1v1s coming through. We saw that Corey was giving him a bit of a run for their money there on Blizzard World in his debut map, but we'll see how he's going to be able to fare here in this series. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map set presented by Toyota and see just where we're heading and whether or not the Widowmaker is going to be a possibility. And I like the looks of that Wolf. Busan to kick things off. One of the biggest Widowmaker control maps that we have in the pool.
And in terms of Widowmaker maps for hybrid, Blizzard World is also one of the bigger ones. So
yep.
2 maps right out of the gate that do support Widow play. And we'll see if that ends up being the focal point for these 2 squads once we get there. For Busan, I am 37 already highlighting the Widow here being the spawn room. We'll see if it comes to pass. Very difficult to execute Widow against a strong 3-3 team once you get to the point. And for the Fusion right now, putting Carpe on Sombra might just be a scouting mission, but you can run Sombra with the Winston without Azaria. You can run these Azaria as comps, something that Toronto's actually doing early on, and they are running the Moira with that.
Well, they're well aware about this Widowmaker at the moment. Ivy pushes forward, finds a hook, and Neptuno's just going to get taken down. Yakpung will get punished by EQO, scooping up that kill. Still just going to be looking for a little bit more here. Another hook going to be coming in. Manages to find Carpe, but a perfect D-Matrix comes out from Boko, denying all of that damage out of the Roadhog and keeping them alive. Now they fire back and manage to find the enemy Sombra as Envy will get taken down. Philadelphia Fusion will get the first cap.
It's often the flashy plays that Poco gets noticed for, and most of the more famous divas in this league get noticed for, but it's the subtle plays like that that are going to save your teammate in the face of a right click coming out from a Roadhog. Impressive to see Ivy pick up the Hog here. He will swap back over the Zarya. It was his teammate Humbaba who was famous for playing the Hog back in the day in Contenders Korea. So showing some more flexibility here, but it doesn't work out. It's not enough to get that kill onto Carpe that they so desperately needed.
Carpe just going to be spraying away right now with the left click, holding that one down, gets a hack in onto I'm 37. Winston swapped over, and that's going to be EMP straight in on all 6 players on the side of the Toronto Defiant. And they will all get taken down here, it would seem. Neko making his way out, will be able to escape, but Envy, he's going to be left out to dry with that baby diva. So no line of sight to get shots in.
Carpe, after using the EMP, is going to swap back over to Zarya. He will be slightly behind in terms of ult here. And that swap you saw from Envy was to Remake, just to point that out. But he's not that far behind, and he was able to get 55% here with that second team fight, with that EMP. Let's see if he can catch up to Ivy now and lead that ult economy.
Well, right now, everybody's getting juggled by Sato, who does have that primal range out, but he gets a heal deny, but actually looks like he might be able to stay alive. Tuna and Boombox come up with a couple kills to keep the Winston in the mix of things. And Toronto Defiant are going to have to try to reset again, but they don't have that much time. 75% already here for the Fusion, who have not surrendered a single flip to the Defiant.
This is looking really bad for the Defiant because they don't have good tools to engage onto this point outside of the nano boost. If you're using the sound barrier early, you're really at risk of just getting recapped even if you do get the point, but you're out of options here at this point, so I think it's gonna have to be that nano. There it is.
Nano to open things as Yakpung takes too much damage. I'm 37 getting chipped off screen. Seems like he will be okay. Primal range is ready to go from Yakpung. Maybe waiting for a moment, but maybe he doesn't have to use it right now as they try to get the flip. Asano will just push him on the corner with no HP and get taken down. Flip getting ready to come through. Philly trying to keep this one contested as long as they can. That's going to be the sound barriers out from both Lucio simultaneously. One will lose a Zarya, the other now a Brig, but I'm 37 also going to get taken down with this up the truck out from Poco. The little confusion, they do let the point go the way of Toronto for a moment, but they might just be able to take it straight back right now.
Looks very likely. Yakpung trades back Boombox though, and they use their support ults super early. I don't agree with this decision for the Fusion.
Crucial sleep dart there from Neko, helps keep himself alive for a little bit longer. Yakpung still going to be taken down. The leap forward comes in from Sato, and Neptuno's just going to be scooping up the double kill. That's going to be a primal range out from Sato. Graviton Surge thrown in, EQO going to be taken down as Ivy finds a double for himself, and Sato will have to exit. So Toronto Defiant do manage to maintain control now at 35%.
When Sato died, the Fusion could have made the decision to back off and then return with 5 ultimates, and the support ultimates being the keys there, knowing that Defiant would have to try to defend with their ultimates there, the support ultimates, and they'd have the lead. Instead, it ends up being in somewhat of an opposite situation where Roki leads Sound Barrier. They committed both support ults trying to fight a 5v6 fight, lost it, and now they don't have that support ult advantage anymore. It's going to have to be a good grab here from Carpe. There's no chance to counter.
Waiting for the setup. It's a bit of damage, but now going to be pushing his way back forward, and Yakpung's just going to be taken down, stunned up there on the high ground. Grab going to be thrown in, a bit of a lob, only catches on 37. Will almost certainly be taken down, but actually Neptune and Boombox both going to get clipped by the bomb out from Envy, shutting down the support lineup of the Philadelphia Fusion. On 37 survives through it all. They clean up house, and now they're getting ready to push past 80%. They might be able to take this round.
They will have, Fusion will have those support ultimates back by the end of this, but you've really got to, you know, feel for these guys who made a tough decision there early to try to take that fight, using those support ult advantage they had at the moment. But the consequence here, you can see it. If they lose this fight, they lose the first round.
Neko just going to be taking some shots here with the right clicks. Unable to find a connection there, but EQO going to be taken down. Yakpung swinging, finds a hit. It's the elimination on the enemy Brig. He's still under fire. Get a bit of damage, so Overwatch slowly going to be taking up that Reinhardt, and already Poco's going to be knocked out the mech. He doesn't miss up the destruct, uses that to try to keep everybody alive. The bomb is still going to manage to find Yakpung. He will make it back into the suit with no problems. Shadow dropped in from Sato. Unable to find any knockdowns, unable to find any kills. The flip's still not coming through for the Philly Fusion, but they have such a massive advantage at the moment as Ivy and Envy both going to get melted down. They get the flip coming through. OT will tick away. Dangerously close, but Philly Fusion able to inch this one out in the end.
Yeah. You could see Neptuno sign a breath of relief there, as that was a lot closer than it could have been. Being put to the brink there, pushed to the brink by the Defiant, you know, after using those support ultimates and failing to flip the point after Sato was killed. You know, is often criticized for being picked first, picked early in these fights. The Defiant take that fight and almost turn the whole round around. But as for the Fusion, this is the most common now spot where you see Widowmaker on Busan. See if IM37 sticks with it this time. Carpe once again starts the Sombra, so we won't see that duel, at least not initially, but if Defiant gets a few kills, Carpe will have to match the Widow.
Well, pushing forward, sees the Wrecking Ball, knows that that is going to be one of his prime hack targets, but no, he's not going to be opting into the Sombra nor the Widow battle. And Toronto Defiant already also making some changes, so both teams going to be arriving back in. We've essentially just reset the round and push back out and get the control point going to be unlocking a lot faster. Toronto already moving their way down to the low ground. Should be able to net this first cap, but Philly Fusion waiting on the high ground to see if they want to deny it. It will drop down and start contesting things.
All right, Envy gets the hack on the Poco here, could be big.
Yeah, off the back of the charge, Sato just finds Yakpung. They didn't get to match him. So both Ryans would hit the ground. He just gets picked off, and that should be the first cap killing in for Fusion again.
This was huge, a huge turnaround for the Fusion. Not in terms of, you know, control meter, but position-wise, the Defiant already had control of the point. They were there first. They had the flanking Sombra that the Fusion didn't have vision of, but that getting that critical kill onto Yakpung just changes everything. They don't get a massive grab lead here, but still, positional advantage now.
Yep, hack going to be coming down onto Carpe, but he is fine to just hold the left click. He's got 90 plus energy at the moment. Ivy going to get taken down, and now Yakpung as well. The eliminations continue to roll through for the Philly Fusion as they push forward towards the enemy spawn, and Toronto Defiant do anything other than crumble under the pressure being applied.
When you're the attacking team trying to take the point back on this map, Mecha Base, it's tough to get the EMP value that you're looking for because you're constantly blocked by all these walls and these choke points as the attacker, so the Sombra has to find her way around, and that's way easier said than done. You can see right now Envy is just trying to find an angle. Fusion, don't spot him at the moment. This is the opportunity. This is what needs to happen for the Defiant.
Going for the flank angle here. Envy now going to have that EMP ready to roll. Pushes his way out with the translocator. Wraps around the backhand side of the point. Throws it in again. Mounts up to the EMP. That is going to be all 6, as you say, in Sato. The first one to fall, followed up by EQO. Flip coming in. Toronto Defiant will be able to grind this one out. Just have to get rid of that pesky diva. Poco tries to delay as long as he possibly can. Finally knock him out. Flip comes through.
So, Boombox was hacked. during the EMP, as was everyone, so he couldn't use his Transcendence. That's one way you could deal with the EMP. But I think, to be honest, he wasn't even trying to hide because he knew that they were going to look to just retake the point immediately afterwards. And he didn't want to have no trance for Ivy's grab either. It's not a 99 advantage they have, so this is not just one flip back and you win the map. But still, I think it's a good decision.
Grab's going to be coming out from Carpe, Envy and Roki both just vanishing. The spawning grab going to be held onto by Ivy, it would seem. The trance is gone for Neko now. Roki picked off before he could use the sound barrier, unable to stay alive. Cleanup coming through. Philadelphia Fusion going to be regaining control here as Defiant are only going to be inching past 40-some%.
And Philadelphia does this without really using any of their resources. So great flip for them. They can now control the chokes once again. They don't have a grab, but they have the answers to the EMP. And I think this time is the time you'll see Boombox and Neptuno split apart so that they're not caught both by that. So one of them at least will be able to have the counter support ultimate when the hacks come through.
Obviously to get that EMP first as well. Ivy, this time Bobble throws out the grab on Surge immediately after getting out of that one. Bomb's gonna be out from Poco, looking for an explosion. Not gonna be able to find any kills with that. BQO traded out for Neko. Sound barrier shields expiring on the side. It's not gonna find the flip does come through. This Fusion at 99%. Another EMP gonna be dumped in. Catches the remaining members of the Fusion who are playing around the point. But yeah, Poke's still gonna be taken down there still. Grinding away at Toronto Defiant to try to win this fight out. Carpe still relatively healthy, takes some shots from Neko on the side, however. That last one being a headshot. Does manage to get rid of that enemy Zarya, but Boombox quickly fires back and finds a bit of vengeance.
This is not looking great for the Defiant here, but if they can have some clutch kills, they might be able to turn this around. It just seems so unlikely.
Yep.
There's one.
Looking for a little bit more, though. They need to get Poco out of that neck. He's nearly got another bomb ready to roll.
I think we have to. I gave the benefit of the doubt to the supports in the last fight for the EMP. This time I can't. Neptuno preemptively used his sound barrier. It was deleted by the EMP. That made the fight a lot more competitive. And then Envy clutches there in the end, survives with his translocator, gets that extra damage done. Yakpung returns to the point and gets that kill. And suddenly, we might be looking at a round 3 here.
Highly possible.
Neko almost with the trance.
Looking to go to that double OT on the bar. As we're at 95% for the Toronto Defiant. Transcendence going to be up for Neko. Boombox just a little bit further behind. Sound barrier could obviously be a turning point as Neptuno is very far away. Roki is just on the precipice of having that one ready to go. EMP going to be thrown down. Managed to catch 4 members right off the bat. The Transcendence now going to be available, and Boombox uses it instantly, but it's too late to save Sato's life. So now they're without their main tank. BQO taking a bit of damage. Rally's going to be up. Instantly pops that one to get the armor rolling through. Poco edging the bomb up the top, manages to find Roki. 2% shy of that sound barrier. Now Neko's going to be gone. Philly Fusion, the last moment. Seems like they will be able to snatch this one out from beneath the Toronto Defiant yet again. They get the team wipe. They get the 2-0.
Very close though, both of those rounds. And this is exactly what we expected from a series like this. It's not going to be one-sided. Good job, good positioning by Carpe. Poco with the push-off bomb from the edge, catches Roki. They win the map and start that momentum advantage.
Game of inches here for either side. Fusion just slightly ahead. They have the 1-0. Let's see what happens when we come back from the break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Philadelphia Fusion able to get that victory there on Busan, but it was very, very close. We'll take a look at some more adorable pets. So the Toronto Defiant chiming in.
Yeah.
Little Miss Chainsaw Massacre.
That's
an interesting name.
That's one of their GM's cats.
Interesting, but
Diva Dog right here.
yep, we got a Diva Dog. Nicely done.
And some Fusion fans, good timing on that one for this tweet, because they're up 1-0 against the Defiant.
Adorable little pups there, rocking the bandanas, but like you said, up with 1-0, but Toronto Defiant really fighting tooth and nail to try to get the victory there on Busan. Both rounds pushing it to 99% on either side, but Fusion is barely managing to take that away with the 2-0. It was looking so likely that we're going to be heading to 3 rounds.
Yeah. Poco with the nudge-off bomb there as well. It's becoming very common. I mean, it's always been a tactic ever since the game was released, but it's, you know, people are getting really good at it, and that was another one of those moments. He also had that clutch save on Carpe, which had he not gotten the Roadhog from Ivy at the beginning of the map, could have been, you know, that first kill might lead to a better ult economy, might lead you to, you know, a 3rd round. So big clutch plays from Poco all over the place.
Well, we're headed to Paris for Assault. Gonna be coming back through here. Widowmaker a bit less likely, but bunker comps on point A, certainly something that we could be seeing at the start of this.
Some teams are really shying away from it, but I think that it is the easiest thing to prepare. It is I would say it's the strongest strategy right now, but it's one of the easiest to execute strategies and toughest to play against. And that's why it's so commonly used. And especially even if you look at ranked play for, you know, fans at home, at the lower levels you see a ton of Torbjorn, you see a ton of Bastion, because it requires a lot of coordination to break that composition versus setting it up. So, you know, a lot of teams and people who don't use comms and stuff struggle to deal with that sort of thing. But for the Fusion, right now, it's looking like they're just planning on running Orisa Hog, with Carpe continuing to utilize this Sombra. The Defiant, based on their lineup right now, makes you feel like they're expecting the bunker. But as soon as they scout it out with Envy, Sombra, then, you know, we're going to see some swaps here, you have to imagine.
Yep, Ivy just going to be sitting back, waiting to hear what the word is.
This was one of his most iconic heroes in Korea, his Genji, his Junkrat. Those were his 2 most famous. He played Pharah sometimes. So he's probably teasing those Korean fans at home as well a little bit here, but...
Oh, that was a pretty good reaction time from Neko, but couldn't quite get the sleep dart.
Or is he going to keep it? No. That was a late swap right there.
Yeah, changing it up.
It's actually going to cost him some ult charge. Very negligible, but...
Well, will just be the swap out here for the 3-3. Neko still sticking through with that Ana. Bubble going to be used. EQO hovering from above. Just going to leave these rockets in to get some kills, and Neko already going to get taken out as Boombox claims the first kill here on Paris.
EQO with a nice angle.
Yeah, Ivy and Envy both taking a beating here in the side room. Could get knocked out. They managed to find Sato, but Diva, can they actually move forward onto the point?
It's going to be a barrage ready, and everyone on the Defiant has to enter, or rather leave from one angle. This is a good opportunity.
Yeah, Neko nearly taken out. Envy still not in the back. It's going to be the barrage getting it layered in, and Ivy tries to survive with the bubble, will get taken down, but Neko does manage to fire back and get the kill on the EQO, but Neptuno has the res. Straight back into the fight is the Pharah. It seems like the sustained hold going through for the Fusion so far.
Yeah, we're going to see the stagger here onto Envy. Perfectly timed, too, here from Boombox, so that actually the mech explodes furthest away from where the Diva wants to be.
Going through, not going to find the hit this time.
Defiant need to be careful about playing this far up right now without
They are
Envy.
completely split off at the moment. They're in a very small enclosed space. The whole Hog getting ready to come through for Boombox. He takes a breather, subbed out of it though. And they will be able to claim his life. So Neko firing one back here in favor of the Toronto Defiant as they try to make their way over onto the point. The rally armor still going to be there, out from I'm37. Sound barrier available for Roki. Trying to go for the sustained fight. Roko's going to be tossing in the self-destruct, looking for the kill. Primal Rage going to be coming out from Yakpung as he tries to find a target. Sato just going to be taken down. The rocket still flying. EQO with nearly another barrage ready to roll. Pushes his way onto the low ground, however, and will get taken down, and that will be the cap coming through onto A for the Toronto Defiant.
So it wasn't the bunker composition, but it was very frustrating Pharah that we saw the Defiant having to deal with in the police station. You can see it's that building just over to the right there, where you have to approach that way, and when you come out of that choke, EQO is going to do a ton of damage. They do have EMP here, but they don't stick with the Pharah. They're not going to try to use the EMP combo here on this defense. So we'll probably see a swap from Carpe after this EMP is used.
Really good checking there.
Roki needs to make sure he does not get caught by this, or Philadelphia Fusion can win this fight with just one ult, and that would be amazing for their economy.
Carpe still pushing his way into the back, going to be looking for one of those 6-man EMPs. Again, just getting hit. 37 tracking him, but now the EMP will be coming through. 3 members going to be caught out, but Roki manages to stay safe, dumps in the sound barrier, and we'll see the coalescence out from Neko as well. As they push forward, looking for some kills. Sato going dangerously low. He'll get taken down by Yakpung, just swinging away like a madman with a hammer. Now gets another one as EQO will be taken down. Poco has been knocked out of the mech, so things will be very good on this initial attack for the Toronto Defiant. Philadelphia Fusion, they have to stabilize and try to turn this one around.
Roki with a barrier there, he keeps them alive. Ivy has a grab. Carpe just swapped, so, you know, I mean, this is the risk you run when you're not running mirror comps on A.
Transcendix aspires, but no one able to get the kill on the boombox. Bombs going into the back. Enemy not going to find any picks, but he makes it back into the mech with no problems. Sato trying to play forward. Shatter getting ready to come through. He gets stunned up, taken down as Ivy pushes forward. High energy there with that Zarya. It is all out chaos breaking through here onto the point. Huge knockdown coming in on the back of the Shatter from Yakpung. That's going to be Carpe and Neptuno. Both of them taken down. Bombs out from Poco, but there's no one to receive the blast. He'll go ahead, pick him off, take him out, tick up. Just shy of 4 minutes remaining on the clock.
So you're gonna get that ult advantage in situations like this where, you know, your opponent was running the Pharah, the you know, Sombra coming through, countered Roki, did with the sound barrier, that ultimate, the only ultimate they really had, and then they had the better tools to take B. Even though it was a weaker time bank than they would have wanted, they still get B, and the Philadelphia Fusion now needs a better run to get that advantage time bank.
Well, 3:51, the time to beat. Let's see if they can do it when we come back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On the back of this man right here, Roki nailing the sound barrier on the Toronto Defiance attack, allowing them to stay alive, get the point B cap, and finish with a time bank of 3:51.
The Grav, you know, versus the EMP debate, you know, that Philadelphia decided to go for the Sombra into a late swap on the Zarya, and sometimes that's going to cost you because you don't have your own Graviton Surge, you're dealing with Ivy's grab, and there's only so much you can do against a team that's going to counter your ultimate in terms of the EMP, because Sombra does not have the same level of damage output that Zarya is going to have. It's just simply not going to happen. So when your EMP doesn't get value, then you're down a hero basically, because Sombra can only do so much. Then, you know, Ivy's got the grab. What can you do? The cap snowballs after that. And they were so reliant on that. Or perhaps their strategy from the get-go was to hope to full hold A, but it didn't happen that way. 4 minutes is a respectable time bank. It's not the greatest. It's not the fastest you know, you can have, but for the Fusion, still feeling a little bit uncomfortable about this one. So we will see probably just a scout here before they decide their composition, or perhaps Carpe Widow versus I'm 37. Widow, we've been wanting it.
At least going for an initial pick there. Kyo taking a lot of damage. Not sure if that was self-inflicted or not. Either way, Carpe changing it up a bit. Going for the Hanzo, starting to push his way forward.
Yep. It's not the bunker, but it is Ivy on the Junkrat, which, you know, for you and I, from watching him back in Contenders Korea, is always a treat to see. He's very good at building fast rip tires and using them to save points. I'm37 pulls out his Widow. And EQO swapping over to the Hanzo. They need to match the Widow. And that's where Carpe is going to come into play. So we do finally get to see this matchup. Let's see how the rookie fares against the Master.
Oh, looking for the halts there. Just going to be taken away by the defense matrix of Poco. Same amount of damage going forward onto Envy. And the shot goes there on the Yakpung. Taking him dangerously low. He needs to get some heals in ASAP. Wrapping around the backhand side. Boombox could be looking for a hook. Carpe finds the first pick as Roki will get taken down. And I'm 37 is in such a dire position. It will be finished off by Poco. Envy only able to find Sato. They need a lot more than that if they want to try to maintain control of point A. Yakpung still taking a bunch of chunk damage here. Boombox just tries to break down barrier after barrier with these right clicks. One comes in, Ivy gonna get taken down. Pulled onto the low ground right now is Boombox, but I think he's exactly where he wants to be. Working his way over onto the point and starting to move that one forward.
Very impressive Roadhog here from Boombox, making the big plays. And this is just gonna be the end of A. You have to imagine, I'm 37 can't get line of sight. And this is just gonna be stepping back onto the point and taking it. EQO does have a Dragon Strike nearly available, and he will, once he starts to fight on B, have that. But otherwise, you know, there's an argument to just swap right now back to the Zarya and try to lead the charge, or at least rather match the charge as Ivy's swapping over. Yep. And that's exactly what they're going to do. You already know that, you know, it's going to take time to build the grav, but if you get the first team fight win, if you win the Zarya v Zarya race to Graviton Surge, you're going to get better than a 4-minute time bank. So that's what Philadelphia is really banking on here.
Yakpung making up his mind, swaps off the Winston, comes back in with a Reinhardt to be able to match against Sato. Pushing their way forward. Diffusion, similar approach path that we saw from Toronto Defiant. And on the point, looking to build up some energy here. Carpe gonna surge up to 40, and two members just gonna vanish on the side of Defiant. Now Roki gone. And Neko sitting there with about half HP. This is just a slaughter, and Philadelphia Fusion explode onto point B to get the cap.
Yep, they didn't even need the ultimates. They just won the straight up 3-3 versus 3-3 fight here in very convincing fashion. And after doing it once on Busan and now dominating the mirror here, it does raise serious questions for the Defiant for the rest of the series.
I mean, they just crushed them right there. Like, a little bit shy of 30 seconds of the advantage. Let's see what happens when we come back for OT. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 3:51 on the clock for Toronto Defiant. 5:17 for Philadelphia Fusion, who just clapped their way through to B.
Yeah, you know,
Thinking it'll look easy.
Boombox is playing a really good Roadhog right now, and that's something that we saw a lot back in Orisa metas, not only in Overwatch League last year, but also in Korea during that same time period, where the support player swaps over to the Roadhog, and he is very good at capitalizing not only on the halts from Sato, but also just finding flanking positions and catching targets. Roadhog basically is a one-hit kill on most heroes if you can hit that hook, and because Boombox is doing exactly that, he's 50% hook accuracy, which is quite good at a pro match. That's half the hooks he throws out, he's landing his target. So basically think about half the time he throws a hook out, somebody might die. So, you know, it's a very impactful hero, and you have to try to play around that. And the Defiant are going to try to poke it down at range here with Neko on Widow. I'm 37 going over to his other more popular hero for him, which was Tracer.
Yeah. That was the debut pick, I believe, for him on Blizzard World. Brought that one out. Already over onto the point. See Yakpong there with a Wrecking Ball, starting to tick things up, nearly grabbing the first tick for free. We'll push off for the moment, but Neko's going to get taken down by Sato. Carpe dangerously low, as is Yakpong as he gets stuck here on the high ground, trying to stay alive. Retreats over into the corner. EQO can't quite nail him with the rockets to get the finish. Push over, very aggressively though, EQO trying to hunt down I'm37. It's a bit too elusive with that Tracer, but he gets a nice shot there onto Ivy. He is pulled down onto the low ground, scoops him with a direct hit, and now Neko as well will be eliminated. So Toronto Defiant, it took so much time trying to piece together this composition that they're running, but EQO just dismantles it.
EQO is absolutely crushing right now. He's beating Ivy's Pharah, and he is doing a much better job of finding angles to get damage. And now he's going to have a barrage soon. Carpe will have the EMP, right? These are tools you can use to get a full hold here. And someone's got to stop this man. And right now, Ivy's the best person for the job. I'm37 can't reach that far, not consistently.
Yep.
It's got to be Ivy.
We saw another direct hit there as well onto Ivy. Taking him lower and lower. Yakpong's still going to be hacked out, trying to survive. 37 holding on to this pulse bomb, but not really finding an opportunity to invest it. There's no way of getting up top to try to even pulse the Mercy or the Pharah unless they come close to the ground. 37 just dangerously low, working his way around the back at the point. As I say that, Yakpong going to be taken down, so even more time bought.
Okay, pulse potential here onto one of the supports in the back line. Well, the support in the back line in this case. I don't think he's going to pulse Boombox.
Nearly 6 ultimates ready to roll for Philly.
Yeah, and you know, an opening pick from I'm37 could change everything. We have both teams having the EMP barrage online, so it's going to be about executing first.
EMP going to be coming through, manages to catch 4 people. That's going to be the barrage coming in from Ivy. Sato and EQO both going to be taken down. Carpe manages to find I'm37. Pulse Bomb still going to be online as he gets ready to respawn. Carpe follows up for a double, but it's still looking pretty good for the side of Toronto Defiant, but they have to get over onto the point. Rockets coming down. Neptuno doing his damnedest, unable to find the kill onto Ivy with the pistol. It seems like the cap will finally be rolling through for the Defiant.
And a lot of things for Overwatch, hook versus hook for Roadhog, and that mirror Transcends versus Transcends Sound Barrier. It's the person who takes the second ultimate that gets the advantage, but in EMP versus EMP is the initiator who always has the advantage. You could potentially hack the other Sombra, prevent them from translocating, prevent them from using their own EMP, and it was Envy who found that initiative first over Carpe, gets the EMP off, and is able to take this fight. Even though they had the same tools, the same ultimates, Envy was able to act first. And that's what leads to this capture here. So signs of life, there's still a shot here for the Defiant to take this map.
Limited time though. Starting off with nearly 4 minutes now, going to be drained down to 40 seconds. The extra little bonus that they get from the cap onto A. Nano Boost is going to be ready, thrown in onto Yakpong as he gets juggled around and stunned up. It'll be a long way to go before he can get a shatter online, but Envy is just doing work for the rest of the Defiant. 2 kills going his way. Now a third as EQO will get taken down by I'm37. Fantastic start for them. Nearly 2 ticks going to be snagged up by the Defiant already on this attack. And the Bob Pogo not going to be able to find anything. He will get back into the mech, but Sato does not stand a chance by himself. The hack comes through, and the Diva's just going to get popped out yet again. Now EQO swapping over onto the Tracer, just going to be desperately trying to extend this fight, as is Carpe with a Wrecking Ball. But it seems like neither going to be standing a chance. The cleanup's coming through. They're just trying to force out that overtime here. For the cap, will be able to do so as Sato gets burned down. But Toronto Defiant will be able to finish Paris, and they keep their hopes alive.
Very close to getting it with a time bank, you know, and that would have been massive for them so that they didn't have to deal with the potential tie here, which would make the escort map so much more terrifying to play on. But as it turns out, you know, the situation here is still favorable for Fusion. It was a very aggressive EMP from Envy that got them to be in the first place. Envy then gets a double kill to start things off, and he comes up for this team time and time again on this Sombra. It's a thing of beauty to watch, and he's outclassing Carpe in most regards that way. It's been close, but for the Fusion now, you still don't feel too bad because you know that defense slipped through your fingers, but you're looking at 5-17, and you're feeling like, there's no way I don't get both points here on Paris, especially with how open B is and Defiant's already unwillingness to run the bunker, which is one of the things that can really eat through a time bank on A. You're feeling like, well, all we have to do is do what we've already accomplished, and this map is in the bag. We take a 2-0 in this series and head to halftime. It's up to the Defiant now to have you know, the big performance. The ball is in their court now. Ivy needs to get that Riptire he failed to get last time. Neko's on the hog this time. I'm37 needs to find lines of sight. And they need to hold this for a long time.
Well, right now, I'm37 playing much more forward on the Widowmaker, as Philly Fusion just going to be waiting for the scouting report again to figure out what the comp is going to be. EQO showing us an Ashe for a moment.
Would love to see it, but
nope.
I think he was just teasing us. He's putting that Ashe playtime on his record.
I just want to see some Bob, you know? I miss Bob.
We all miss Bob.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Bible thumps for Bob, but push back again. And we'll be changing things up, juggling around. EQO going over onto the Pharah, which was doing so much work for the Fusion.
A lot of hesitation here for the Fusion as Poco was swapped to the Soldier here briefly.
Oh.
And now with Carpe's death, you have to imagine he's considering a swap as
And
well.
Sato.
This, you know, you've got a lot of time bank, right? So this isn't something that everyone should panic about just yet, Philly fans at home, but
It's still question.
it is certainly starting to add up, you know, and it feels like they're just not entirely sure how to approach this composition. There are several viable options, but if you spend a minute, you know, deciding exactly which one is the best, then you don't have a 5:17 time bank anymore. You're really playing a game of 4-minute time bank, and that's where we're at.
Well, finally working their way up to the initial corner. Now just have to break the defense setup from the Toronto Defiant. Already, though, shifting over to the left-hand side from the attacker's perspective. Toronto do peel their way back. They're coming down again. Boombox looking to break that with a right click. Push their way up. Storm Arrow is going to be coming through from EQO. Significantly chunking out the likes of Neko and Yakpong. Continues to go lower and lower. More arrows rolling through. They're trying to keep them sustained. Roki nearly getting shot there. Does have the Valkyrie online.
I mean, he might have to use it here. Everyone got very low, and they need that Riptire so badly right now. 20% away is Ivy, and they're about to lose control of this high ground.
Yeah, they're still peeling their way back. Another barrier going to be broken. Philadelphia Fusion continue to advance.
Here we go,
Point by
10%.
point, step by step. Ivy trying to stay alive. Riptire getting ready to come online. As you say, needs this one to be huge.
Unlike the
Their
Dragon
way
Strike.
out. Bombs over into the back, not able to find anything yet, but the Riptire now going to be online. Can they take this down? Carpe is certainly going to be looking for it and trying to snipe this one. Rolls it into the front. Yakpong going to get res back into the Riptire's not going to be taking any kills here. For the side of Toronto Defiant, Masato is still going to get taken out. Carpe manages to pick up 37. Now the bomb up from Poco. Get through the main tank, so Toronto Defiant operating 2 men down. Bombs in from Envy, not going to find any picks. Carpe leaping to the side, keeps himself safe away from Neko. Right click spam coming through, trying to lock down this Widowmaker. Hasn't been able to find the kills yet. Hook through onto Envy, they pop him out. Neko still playing into the back, takes a breather, but he's got no HP, no sustainability, no way to mitigate. Will just get taken down, the Baby Diva here. And Roki as well, both going to be eliminated, so Philly Fusion will break through. They will get this cap. They'll have a bit of time to try to get B.
This is not the end of the world for the Defiant. There is a world where they can defend this, but they're going to have to toss all their ult charge away. Philly will do the same because that's how this meta works. And sometimes you see compositions that are better for certain points, and then obviously what is the still prevailing 3-3 GOATS composition comes out for the points that, you know, are more neutral, like this one. So right now the Defiant needs to win this straight up matchup. No advantages to the Fusion. None. It's an even playing field here. And it's time to shine, it's time to get ahead.
The one that could be big is going to be Poco if he can build up for that self-destruct. We know, as he has historically been great delivering multi-kills with that, but Boombox going to be taken down off the bat. So solid start for the Toronto Defiant. That's going to be the retreat call coming in for the Philadelphia Fusion as they try to exit, but Toronto Defiant feeling a bit edgy here, pushing forward, looking for some additional kills and staggers.
This could be huge, but it could backfire as well. They need to make sure they get away now with no more deaths. Fusion are going to come in and start touching this point. Very aggressive play from the Defiant. It works out. Very greedy. Still even in Zarya charge. But Neko, in this one fight, surges ahead in the Transcendence department. And if he can hold that, that's one way to really put a wrench in the gears of the Fusion's plan of taking this point with a bomb combo or just a straight up grab.
As long as he can hold it, if Philadelphia Fusion can pressure that Transcendence out of him before the grab comes through from Carpe, that could be their ticket to tying us up here. 1 minute 13 remaining as they try to work their way over onto the point. Rally coming online for EQO. Will be popping that one now. Sato nearly with the Earth Shatter. See when he wants to drop the hammer, watching Neko into the back. Not feeling any pressure yet, doesn't have to use the Transcendence. Bomb's gonna be going up from Poco. Not gonna find any kills. Yakpok drops the hammer, manages to find one. Carpe taking a bit of a nap, the pin's gonna miss on the him, but actually does find EQ home. They push him away from the fight. Carpe trying to rejoin, trying to get that Graviton Surge online. It'll be the Transcendence out from Neko though. Carpe, can he try to turn things around? It seems so unlikely. One tick gonna be snagged for free as Neptuno is just sitting alone by the point. He will be able to finish him off, but it's going to be one more attempt for the Philadelphia Fusion to get the finish here on Paris.
This is going to be another one of those fights where there's really no clear advantage for either side. The big one here is going to be that Sato's going to have a shatter, but otherwise, I mean, this is basically a straight up even fight. Using the grav here, forcing Neptuno to use the barrier, perhaps trying to grab away from the point. There are ways to make this work.
Envy has been so good at denying ultimates away with the D-Matrix in the past. Can he do it here? At this crucial moment to try to tie up this series by taking away Carpe's grab. He's got the statue to play around. Grab's going to be coming out first from Ivy. Manages to find Sato. Sound barrier comes through as they try to keep him alive, and Envy actually finds it! He takes that one away! Shatter comes down. Roki going to hit the ground, but the bubble comes in for Ivy to keep him alive. Pop out onto the back there. Envy going to be losing that one, but Sato is taken down. Carpe going low. Hounded up by Ivy. They manage to find the kills, but they're still so very far to go for the Philadelphia Fusion to try to close this one out. Bomb goes down. Poco unable to find anything Transcendence.
They don't have Zarya
from the side of Boombox. They don't have the Zarya, they don't have the damage, and now they don't have a D.Va to stand behind. Poco gets melted, OT starts plummeting, and Toronto Defiant actually hold this one off to get the win and tie up the series.
You called it. If they eat the grav, that is it. That is what will win you the map. They get to use the barrier on their terms and have the grav coming through right before. Very well played from Envy. And that's it. We've got ourselves a series here, 1-1. The Defiant really impressing in the face of a weaker time bank. They still prevail.
We call that the cast of blessing, but guys, let's see who takes the lead when we come back after halftime.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. We saved the best match for last. After the Fusion took map 1, it was all the Defiant bouncing back on Paris to even things up here at the half. It's a 1-1 game. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. It's Puckett with the boys. We've got Bren, we've got Sideshow, and this is an epic battle of two teams trying to solidify their spot in the top 5 in our standings. Toronto came in with the number 4 seed, Philadelphia with the number 6, but both teams 6-3 overall. They're up there with the Shock guys trying to be a tier 1 squad, and so far, have you seen either of these teams looking capable of breaking into that top tier?
Right now, it's so open, I think, in terms of you've got the big dogs right at the top three. You've got Vancouver, you've got New York, you've got Shock. And I think they're solidly right there.
I don't think anyone's touching them, honestly.
Right, and I think the rest of them, you can make an argument, honestly, for who's filling up that top gap right now.
Okay.
I'd be leaning more towards Gladiators, but I mean, Philly, they're an inconsistent team, and Toronto seem to be following that as well. They could be up and down, you know? We could be looking at top 5 teams, both of them here.
Let's take a look at some of the best moments from both of our squads. Going back to our first map, it was Busan, and I got excited because a Roadhog was on the map for like 5 seconds. Then he went back into spawn. We saw a lot of 3-3. Some somber play came in here. What were you guys impressed by after watching both teams here in our opening battle?
Well, I was impressed by Philadelphia Fusion not looking on one of their downswings. We talk about them as being quite an inconsistent team. You never quite know which Philadelphia Fusion you're going to get. They actually look fairly coordinated today. They're making sure that they help Sado when he goes forward. They're backing each other up. Yes, it's back and forth between these two teams. It's not the most clean Overwatch in the world from either of them, but the Philadelphia Fusion do look like they're actually playing fairly well. Now, the big question for me, though, is why we're seeing so much triple tank, triple support from Philly. Because you'd expect this team to be one of the leaders in trying to push for as much DPS play as
We're
possible.
hyping up the dual sniper meta.
Yeah, I mean, Carpe and EQO, probably pound for pound, the best DPS duo that we have in the league, or at least were last season. And so far, they haven't really made use of the fact that these kind of triple DPS or double DPS compositions are viable. They're just sticking with what they were playing all last stage, and they were kind of middling at that.
Ultimately, it was Philadelphia able to edge out Toronto in our first map, and I thought it was going to be a 2-0 lead at the half after Philadelphia had a really nice attack. Let's take a look at our second map. Paris, the newest 2CP map here in the game on Assault, and Carpe showed off his Widowmaker, guys. Things were looking great for Philly early on.
Yeah, you look at Philadelphia Fusion, they're running the double sniper composition, and Zoe actually touched on this in the pre-show today. This is the composition that they're very comfortable with, you know? It's what they made that big run in the playoffs with through and through. And Philadelphia Fusion, I think that we start to see them play in the DPS. They look a little bit more comfortable, but it's when it gets to this 2-all, right? Ooh. Where it's like even on either side, and it's the attack realistically that Toronto decide to go for, where they end up running Neko Niana a short while, and the Philadelphia Fusion end up opening up with this bunker composition again on their side of the attack. You can see it's swapped around now. This is where I had issues, because Philadelphia Fusion, you run this composition, even if you manage to cap it, you still got one more point to cap after that point, and you have to make a complete switch across the board of your composition. So you lose all your ultimates, whereas Toronto are a little bit smarter. They're running their composition. They can keep one of the pieces, Neko on the Ana with the nano boost, to really try and secure that last piece. So ultimately, Paris is a map that comes down to time most of the time. Because teams often, it's quite attackers favored. You end up capping it all the way through. You're left at the time bank. And often, if you can't get those final few seconds to build up the ultimates, you're not going to be able to cap it out in the end.
We focused a lot of Philly there in those highlights, Josh, but what did Toronto do to pull out the win in this second map? How did they hold strong? Because they didn't give up that final point.
That's true, yeah. I think overall, both of these teams were able to capture point A very quickly, but Philadelphia Fusion really struggled with their final point A offense, and Toronto were able to make the adjustments necessary, I think, to hold them a little closer. And then it came down to what Bren was talking about, where this snowball favors the Toronto Defiant on that defense. They actually look pretty comfortable at being able to play the triple time, triple support, and flex over to a bunch of different stuff, which we wouldn't have expected that much coming into the season, but now it just seems kind of standard for Toronto, because their coaching staff have done such a good job with these players.
Knowing that we have Blizzard World left, of course, 2 more maps, tie game right now. How does this one play out, guys? Does Toronto have the edge going into game 3?
I would probably say so, I think, off the back of that last one. But it could go even. Like, again, these teams are so closely matched, I can't say with great certainty.
I'm going to go for Philly here in Blizzard World, because what I think is going to happen is that when the last time we saw Toronto Defiant play Blizzard World, they played a lot of DPS. They played a bunch of it. I'm37 was on the Tracer. He played a little bit of Widow. And when you start to try and take those 1v1s, particularly the Widowmaker, I think that's when Carpe is starting to have a bit of an advantage.
I will say this, if they take Blizzard World, if Philadelphia take Blizzard World, I think they're winning the entire thing, because Rialto being the last map, they're quite comfortable running Winston, triple tank, triple support. We've seen it time and time again. They love to play on the first point. They play it very well. They play it very elegantly, so they should be taking it if they take Blizzard World. But if Toronto take it, we might have a game 5 on our hands.
All right, what is the final answer, though? You both went with Philly in the pre-show. Are you sticking with Philly, Bren?
Yes, I am going to be sticking with Philly.
Josh, sticking with Philly?
I'm going to be sticking with them. I think they're good on Rialto.
Zoe was the only one to call Toronto. She still has faith. We'll find out. Can Toronto pull off a big win tonight and stay in the top 4? That's coming up after this.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that. It's Mr. X hanging out.
Hugo.
Hugo. He gave his dog his own Twitter handle.
Yep.
That's such an X thing to do. And then Emily, we've got all the talent coming through. Nice Bengal
Her
cat.
cat also has an Instagram.
Does have an Instagram.
Oh, look,
hey,
it's your cat.
Hey, it's Nova. She's very shy. She doesn't come out very often.
Yeah.
She likes to just hide
It is a hider. That's for
underneath
sure.
the couch cover. But I miss her dearly. She is back waiting for me to return. So one day we will be reunited.
Yeah, I've got my 4 cats back at home as well. So
They're being taken care of,
yes,
to be fair. So they're in good hands. Don't
Yes.
worry about that, guys. We're not going to America and leaving our cats behind without making sure that they are set. But right now we have a tied-up series coming in for the second half. 1-1 at the moment. One of these teams going to be advancing with a lead moving up to match point. And I kind of agree with halftime. I'm kind of split personally. I don't know who could take this one.
yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of leaning towards the Defiant. I feel like they've really gotten into Philly's head a little bit, and the momentum is now in their favor. I mean, I think it still could go either way. I don't want to make a hard prediction on the Defiant, but I am sort of leaning towards them taking this. But I do also agree with Bren, kind of what he said earlier. I think whoever takes this map takes the whole thing.
Rialto's close it out from there.
Yeah, Rialto's a comfortable map for Philly, but if they lose Blizzard World, I think suddenly Toronto's just got your number, and you're not going to look as comfortable on that 4th and final map. And I would only say that something like this in a situation where these games and this series and these teams are so evenly matched that, you know, when you look at it, you actually have to even consider the psychological impact that losing 2 maps in a row has on a team.
Oh, we'll have to see what happens here as we get ready to move into Blizzard World. We look for one of these teams to move forward to that match point before we get into Rialto. But, I mean, this honestly could go the distance. It could be a Game 5 series, just given already how tight-knit things have been in those first 2 maps of Busan and Paris.
I'll take it. I'll take a 5-game series any day, any match, any teams. It's always my kind of match.
All right, so Wolf's going to be casting the 5-game series between Mayhem and Justice, which means that I will be as well. So looking forward to it.
Give me that.
See who can come out on top of that one again.
I didn't get to cast it last time that happened. I was watching at home. Well, for this composition, we will see the commitment to the bunker for Fusion, and they are running Boombox on the Batiste to make this a lot more difficult to crack for the Defiant. Ivy showing the Genji here to start. It is something we have seen some teams try to run against this, but more like we're going to see the Hanzo swaps come through. So you can have, you know, the ability to break this bunker I'm 37 sticking with the Sombra, and actually they're not going to run the Hanzo. Actually going to run Genji against this. Very difficult to get dash resets against a team that's so unkillable when Batiste puts up the Immortality field.
Well, right clicks is raining down from above Boombox. Getting that healing coming through over time. Just shooting the grenade straight up into the air and allowing them to fall down. Ivy just trying to spam out where he can, but Genji Shuriken's not the best bunker breaker ability here in the game, so just playing patiently, working their way up here onto the high ground. Could try to dash through, maybe get the deflection right into the face of EQO, try to break down the Bastion.
This is a really nice angle for him right now to force EQO to reposition, and he does. Now he's going to
The
commit.
barrier
He was in
coming
there.
down again. He's just so darn low, but he's not being focused at all by the Genji. Now it's going to be the deflection coming in. They do manage to kill him off right after Ivy gets the melee hit onto
Dash
the Immortality
resets.
field. The dash resets coming through, as you say. Ivy just cutting down 3 members like it's nothing. RP does manage to find I'm37. Yakpong has been taken out with Poco this dangerously low. It's expected that they will get the break on the mech and they will be able to advance to the point.
Yeah, this should be the commitment. They can even commit the Dragon Blade here if there is a contest, because you're not really going to stick with this comp too much longer. You can see Sato is trying to work his way around the side. He's probably going to swing in and then tag the point.
RP waiting in the corner.
Okay, here he goes.
Yep, gonna pop out. He's just waiting for the rest of the squad to appear. Now it's gonna be the nano blade coming through. EQO already gonna be taken out one.
Dash
Slash
reset.
onto Carpe. Finds that kill. Ivy gets himself a quad with the blade.
Everyone who played when Brigitte was released in Korea, all the Genji mains had to learn how to attack into a Brigitte setup, because Brigitte is just going to stun you in the Dragon Blade and you'll die instantly otherwise. So you either have to be far away from the Brigitte or you have to communicate with your team and kill the Brigitte first. He comes in from behind EQO and assassinates him first. Then the rest of the team helps him clean up. He gets dash resets, and then suddenly you've got a 5K on your hands.
Well, that's going to be the EMP coming out from both sides. 4 members caught. As the Philly Fusion does get hacked out, but no kills to be found in the back of this. Sleep Dart going to be connecting in onto Poco. Bomb into the back. Envy takes out Neptuno. And with 1 support gone and Poco knocked out, that will be the card continuing to advance with a still very healthy time bank for the Toronto Defiant, just shy of 4 minutes at the moment.
Yeah, Carpe, again with, it's not his fault, there's nothing he can do about it, but he is slightly later swapping over to the Zarya. And Ivy, is going to win that last fight and get a little bit more ult charge. In terms of positioning here, though, the Philadelphia Fusion have the advantage as this cart rolls around because they have the high ground. And they're just going to commit in right now.
Yep, working their way forward. Sato, though, GildenEye coming through off the back of the bio nade. Seems like they are not able to finish him off, so will be able to exit safely for now as he tries to get closer and closer to that primal range. Oh, going to be slept in the middle of his leap forward. With Yakpung and Neko both taken down, he is not going to get punished. They will charge forward all the way up towards the spawn rooms here. Snapping away, looking for any additional kills they can get, and Ivy will be found.
Yeah. They had the high ground advantage. They had a really nice fight there where they kind of baited with Sato and then turned the fight around that positional advantage. Now they're going to try to fight up here on this high ground almost as if they're defending A. We see this a lot on this map. If you can win that fight in the archway, you just come up here and play as if you're defending the first point. Here's the leap in.
That jump going to be coming through. Primal Rage going to be out from Sato. That's going to be the Graviton Surge in from Ivy. Catch them all here outside the doorway. With the heal deny, though, Sato's still not going to be taken down, and Poco manages to find a kill on Hiroki. Did have that sound barrier available. Some time buy is going to be coming through. Transcendence is out from Boombox. Grab is in. Envy with the bomb. Manages to find 2. Poco looking for a little bit more, but just going to be matching as Yakpung and Ivy both get taken down. Neko now killed on the back end. Boombox eliminated by I'm37, but the cart still so very far away from the Toronto Defiant. Philly Fusion maintain control and the advantage.
Yeah, this is starting to look really good for the Fusion. And their next defense here, they're not going to play as forward because Toronto Defiant has their respawns here and everyone's already kind of out of the gate to get to the cart. So they're just going to fight back towards the pylon terrace up on this high ground, forcing the Defiant to come to them, use their movement options, not in the fight, but actually just to advance.
Jump up over the top. Primal just going to be expiring here. Fusion holding on to that sound barrier here at the moment. Roki has 1 to match. Primal, the only other advantage at the moment for Toronto Defiant as they try to get this cart moving, but it's still just rolling back. Driving their way around the flank.
This is a fight that I think Toronto needs to win while they're in even ground with the Fusion. But look at this, forcing the Primal out even early.
Yeah, he got sunned up. Bit of a panic because a lot of damage got pushed forward there onto the Winston. So Yakpung does use the Primal Rage. Now going to be expiring as he moves his way over onto the card. A minute and 14 seconds going to be coming out. Oh no, the grab! Going to be a massive whiff here for Carpe. Yakpung does get caught up in it at the last second. The sound barrier is going to be out from Roki to try to keep them alive. Boombox using the Transcendence, keeps everyone topped up.
This is
move down to the low ground.
It's just a constant fight for the high ground, and Philadelphia lost it momentarily, but they've regained it.
Neko now taking a bit too much damage. Will go ahead, use his own Transcendence as the cart continues to advance. Hasn't really been stopped in a while now by the side of the Fusion. Grab coming through, Sato going to be popping the Primal Range, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Bomb out for NB, not going to find a pick, and the sound barrier rolls through onto the rest of the members of the Philly Fusion as they try to stabilize again and halt the cart right here. Oko pushing forward, now going to get cornered, has to go up into the air. Jumps his way up onto the high ground, still holding on to that self-destruct. We'll just use it on the cart to try to find some desperate picks. Shields up from I'm37, he's going to stay safe at least for a little bit longer. The bomb still manages to find Roki, and Poco gets taken down. Now Yakpung, his own Primal Rage, kills off the enemy Winston. It just has to clear the cart to allow it to move forward into B.
Nice trance here, though, coming out from Boombox, and that might actually turn things around. There's just too much healing.
He does use this one now. It's going to be the grab coming in for Carpe as they try to turn this one around. Cart continue to inch forward. Poco has to push forward, but will just get melted out of the back as Sato rejoins, but does not have a Primal Rage to try to elongate the fight. Leaps back to try to escape. Cleanup's going to be coming through as Toronto Defiant surge forward, looking for additional kills, but they do go ahead, get the cap on B. They get a minute and a half of the time make to try to finish.
Yakpung's really been coming into his own here in this series. You know, he's definitely had a rough start to this stage, but some really incredible plays with the Primal. Also, the grab we saw from Ivy under the bridge meant that some of the heroes on the top couldn't get LOS to support their teammates who were caught on the bottom of the grab. Nice angle there. Just totally cutting the team in half while also keeping everybody locked into the grab. He's got another one built up here now, and there's no defending Trance.
Sato going to be diving into the back, the rally rolling through for the Philadelphia Fusion. Grab comes in from Ivy, waiting for them patiently at the corner. Manages to catch them off guard. It's going to lead the Neptuno and EQO both getting taken down. Sato leaps weighing into the back towards the spawn to try to stay alive, and Boombox will get picked off very swiftly. Poco, he gets some mercy. They go ahead, they kill him off quickly rather than try to stagger him. Right now, Toronto Defiant is way too focused on trying to get the finish here on Blizzard World.
It looks very likely that they will get it. You know, this card has been unhalted. The best tool that Fusion has to try to stop them here is the grab, but both support ultimates available here for the Defiant. There's a realistic world where they could, or it's unrealistic for them to think that they can stop them now with that ultimate alone. It's gonna have to be good plays all around.
It'd be huge if Envy can deny it again if it comes down to that one. Transcendence the lead for Neko. Pushes up, will be an overtime finish if they can get it. Grab's gonna be coming out for Carpe. Managed to find them here at the card. The bomb going off. Poco looking for a pick, unable to find it, but so is Envy. Not netting much of anything with that ult. Now Neko gonna be taken down. No supports for the side of the Toronto Defiant. Just gonna be the tank line as IB desperately tries to use the grab, but Poco says nay. Takes that one away with the D-Matrix. And he will push forward to keep Yakpung away.
With a good coordination and focus fire from the Fusion, almost lost Carpe in that last fight. We saw the flank come through from Neko. He survives. And this time it's Poco who gets the Graviton absorbed there in the end. The fight was already over, that much is sure, but at least we get to have this, you know, one-for-one ending fight here on the defenders.
Well, just have to push to the end to go ahead, get the victory, and take the lead in the series. Let's see if they can do it when we come back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Philadelphia Fusion getting ready to go out on their attack here on Blizzard World. We're able to pull off a successful defense there right at the end, stopping the card from rolling into point C. Toronto Defiant unable to finish the map. So now basically just need a full push and Fusion will move up 2-1 and have match point in the series.
Line of sight for Carpe if he does decide to commit to going this Widow after A, which is kind of what Sideshow was alluding to on this map earlier in the halftime show, is going to be critical. He may just simply play the Zarya. We may see a mirror here, or we may see the Pharah variation we just saw from the Fusion. Obviously, they're going to want to scout out that Defiant running 3-3, the Ana variation here, before they decide to commit to a composition. The Symmetra strategy certainly can be powerful with the teleporter, but yeah, it's just a jump up, check, swap. We have seen some Symmetra strategies similar to this, similar comp to this in Overwatch League, but this isn't the one.
Yeah, not to be seen at the moment here. Will just be the Reinhardt coming through for Sodom. A lot more verticality for Yakpung over with a Winston. Trying to get in and out of fights, but if EQO can really nail those shield bashes, maybe they can just pick him off before he can make a swift exit. Already pushing forward, tacking him up just a little bit. It's going to be Carpe. He tries to get that grab online. Bubble's going to be coming through. Short hop here for Yakpung. Sato goes low, but Yakpung going to be the one getting punished. Big kill tonight will stop Fusion from advancing for at least a little bit longer. But the HP bars of Toronto Defiant are just completely in shambles. Everyone getting junked out, now getting taken down. Roki and Neko trying to escape. Seems like they will be allowed to do so, but the Philadelphia Fusion, they get a massive cap on A with a very significant time bank.
Look at Carpe just trying to get the last bit of his ult charge up right now, chasing out, making sure that he's up on the high ground, and that cannot be taken away from him. It's not going to be a 6v6 fight if he's going to, you know, stick up there, because someone's going to have to be on the card, so he will eventually back away. But he doesn't want to give the high ground away for free. Defiant have it now. They have this choke to work around, and then they have the high ground on top of the siege tank to work with. So here comes the approach. Grab charge for Ivy a little bit behind, so they don't have that engagement tool right now, even if the Fusion try to challenge them. They just need to make sure they don't get knocked off by Neptuno or Poco.
Grab's nearly there. Rally available, going to be popped. EQO leading the charge. Got to set up for a moment, going lower and lower as they try to kill him off. Yakpung will be able to find the kill. And actually keeping him alive right now are the Toronto Defiant very much with the help of that nano boost. Grab's going to be thrown in. That's just them.
Huge bio.
Be able to stay alive here. So far, see things looking rather good for the Toronto Defiant. Yakpung just trying to get out of that side room with his life intact. A lot of damage getting pushed forward though. Down by Carpe onto Envy. Will be able to knock him out of the back. The bomb going to be used just so he can get back through. Doesn't find a pick, but Neko does get rid of Neptuno. So still moving forward with this defense are the Toronto Defiant as they try to maintain control. Shadow's going to be out. Sato drops it in. The sound barrier is good for Roki, and Sato's not going to be able to make it out alive. Gets that Zarya bubble to last just a little bit longer. But really, he's just going to get taken down in the end. Some extra staggers there as Toronto Defiant now have control of the corner.
The trade for the Shatter for the barrier, I think, is always better for the Reinhardt, because the Reinhardt can usually build that faster. But a lot of ults were used. They are halted. And now Defiant, once again, control this high ground. So much damage gets taken on the approach of the Fusion. See where Carpe's going on the left side. He's putting himself in danger as he makes that approach, where he's going through a choke and then a bridge. So he does back off. He's playing very greedy. They're actually just going to straight up fight into this.
He backed off for a little bit longer, but now has the entire rallying army of the rest of Philadelphia Fusion. Ivy getting stunned up. Tries to use it, and Poco, he takes it away again. Another eat on a grab. Ivy with a panic.
I mean, Ivy threw that away either way, man. That wasn't going to be a good grab, no matter which way you look at it.
Still really rough stuff here. Boombox now knowing that that grab is gone. Feels free to open things up with the Transcendence. You just allowing his team to get into a position to take this fight and take the cart and get things moving again. Yakpung going for a charge, gonna miss the pin, gonna get taken down in transit either way. That'll be the cleanup here. Philadelphia Fusion will continue to move.
So you could see in that fight that Ivy wanted to grab while they were in the choke, but he wanted to wait for the rest of his teammates to arrive, so he delayed. And then you saw EQO come in with the big stun coming through, and that actually caught him. And that was the panic moment where Ivy was like, this still could be a good grab, I better just throw it out no matter what. but it didn't work, and it was eaten. But even if it did work, it wasn't really going to catch him, but he might have delayed them. Either way, nice play by EQO.
Yeah, Yakbun just getting juggled right now. Sada was taking a nap, gets woken up, and then instantly starts helping to shut down the enemy Rhine. They just go ahead, clean everybody up. He'll take another nap now that his work is done. He's got to get rested for the next push.
Yep.
But 3:40 on the clock here for the Philadelphia Fusion. Again, they don't even have to strictly finish the map. They just have to get very, very close, and they will take this victory on Blizzard World.
It's tough to out-trade Zarya's when you're running the Ana, and Neko, even from his time back on the Foxes, some of his time in Boston last year, always been a really good bio-grenade Ana player, but that's not going to save you all the time against Gravitons. I think they have to run the Zen. He does swap to the Zen, but it's late.
Now playing up at the corner. Shatter online.
Nice
Oh
move.
dear, Roki! It's a nice right click there, sends him off the side, and that is going to be the push forward. So Rialto Defiant, just on the back of one right click from Roki, managed to gain control of the card for now.
Right now, in this series, Defiant have just, it feels like the more the cards are stacked against them, the more disadvantages they hold, the more clutch they become. Now they're able to keep ult advantage and stop a whole push with one right click.
Well, Grab's going to be out for Carpe. Ivy getting his online. Shatter coming through. Otto dropping the hammer, looking for the hits. Unable to find him, but they still get the kills here on a Yakpung and Ivy 37. So very quickly turning around the defensive hold. Toronto was just established in the back of that boom moments ago. So now 2:25 on the clock.
But six
Advancing
ultimates.
forward.
6 ultimates they hold. Fusion has the same, but they're not going to want to ult. They don't want to use all of them before the finish line here. They want to use, they want to use them at the actual point itself to win the map. So the Defiant could maybe try to force some of these ults out early. That's why they're going to start playing aggressive, positioning aggressive.
Things looking very good for the side of Philly Fusion at the moment, given the time pack. Grab's going to be coming through this time. Ivy managing to land this one, but only finds a couple members. Bomb, however, will be able to get Sato, but Poco answers back as Envy and I'm 37 both going to get picked off. Yakpung going lower and lower, gets a sound barrier. You can see because how quickly they are chewing up those shields on the Rhine. Yakpung just not really standing a chance. Shield's going to be raised. Grab comes through, locks him up there on the wall. No one can make it to the cart in time, and Philadelphia Fusion will move up 2-1 in the series.
Very close map here, but at the end of the day, better fights in the end. The time bank that Fusion got allowed them to get those advantages when they did roll into the end. And, that's all it takes.
Well, match point in the favor of the Philadelphia Fusion. Let's see if Toronto can force a Game 5 when we come back.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, coming back in, getting ready for the final map. But let's go ahead and take a look at some more pets. A horse.
900 pounds, maybe the actual biggest Dallas Fuel fan.
Could be. Very well could be. We got some bunnies. Okay, we're going for some of the more rarer pets. A little more unorthodox, not just cats and dogs all day long. Well, there's a dog here.
Valiant here.
It's a very cute dog, though.
Don't let the dog rip up your Valiant finger. I don't know what those things are called.
Foam fingers?
Foam fingers.
It's all right. The value on that thing is depreciated significantly after this stage. But
Certainly.
coming in, it's going to be 2-1. Toronto Defiant, can they take us to a 5th and final map to try to get tiebreak in the end on another round of control, or will Fusion just be able to take this after Escort?
That's the question. You know, as was mentioned earlier by the analysts at the halftime, just like to, reference these things because I think that it's important to, remind the viewers that Philadelphia have looked really comfortable on 3-3, compared to where they started this season. And I know everyone always says, well, they didn't have Boombox, and that's true, but the matchup here on Rialto, it feels like it's a Philly map, right? Because of their efficiency on Winston 3-3 with Sato. In terms of controlling high ground, they've been doing a better job overall than the Defiant, as we just saw at Blizzard World in the mirror matchup, and that is what a lot of this map is all about. In particular, the section around Point B. So I think the Defiant are really going to have to, play efficiently, play better than they did on Blizzard World, or this series ends and we don't see that 5th map.
Well, we'll see if Bren was correct about closing out Blizzard World and taking the series from there, or if we're going to continue to go back and forth. Map 1 to Philly, map 2 to Toronto, now 3 to Philly. Maybe Toronto can take this here to try to force out that Game 5. They're no strangers to that.
Certainly not.
Their debut was a Game 5 with a reverse sweep.
Yeah. It's, the match that you expect to go the distance, and every map has been close. Maybe we do see that Game 5, but the Defiant are going to have to change expectations. They're going to have to be ult efficient. They're going to have to take high ground here as the attacking team against defender's advantage. Never easy against a team that understands how to utilize it so well. Now, Sato will be on the Reinhardt here to start things off. So a bit of a change.
See, saving that Earth Shatter for a while. But here, Yakpung not going to be on the Reinhardt so far. Starting things off with the Winston. So maybe he'll hold a Primal Rage for, another near 4 minutes.
It's been good weather here in LA. Not as much when we first got here. It was raining a lot, but
That's very true.
we're going to be holding it for a while if you're waiting for a rainy day.
All right, well, pushing their way here. Trying to get a corner in on Sato. He goes low. The Immortality Field does come in to help keep him alive. Spam healing coming in to sustain him for a little bit longer. But he will get taken down, but it's going to be an exchange on the main tanks as Yakpung is eliminated as well. Already seeing this Amp Matrix coming through.
Very quickly.
Boombox just going to be trying to get some snipes, but it's actually Neko who's coming up with the kills. He gets rid of EQO and Neptuno before getting killed off by Poco, and the cart has just been gliding this entire time.
Yeah, it's funny how low impact the Amp Matrix can actually be in this meta. You're really looking for fire strikes, some of the Zenyatta shots going through, but nicely done by Neko. Still don't gain enough ground, though. They still also don't win a brawl fight where Ivy can get a lead in grab charge, so Fusion doesn't mind, taking a poor trade here because they still have the advantage.
The main one they're going to have with the side of the Toronto Defiant is going to be that sound barrier getting ready to come up for Roki. Already, Immortality Field going to be taken down, so EQO without that tool, and without that, he cannot save Sato's life. So the Reinhardt is going to get picked off here in the front line. Transcendence is in from Boombox. Grab now coming in on the back end from Ivy as he catches them and takes out the Zenyatta, as well as eliminating Poco from the mech. Baby Diva will be taken down in the end.
That's kind of a questionable Transcendence there, I have to say, from Boombox, because he used it after the fight was essentially lost. He wasn't going to be able to turn that and kill Ivy, who was high energy. And he basically gave them a free grab with no answer.
Yep.
And now he's not going to have it to control the bridge or to control this choke right here. So there's a world now in which the Defiant get an ult lead here and take this high ground. This is the grab they have to use now. It's a solo grab.
Yeah, Ivy just going to get caught. Yakpung jumping in there. That's all I got. He jumped in it. He could have just jumped back across the bridge and stayed alive, but
so
either way, it's a reset.
Yeah, and that's going to give them control of this bridge, which is why they committed it there. And I think this was absolutely necessary after Boombox used that trance. But now it's double support ultimates for the Defiant. So if they can break through this bridge and push this cart around the corner, they get that high ground. And that's the place you never want to give up without a huge fight if you're the defender on this map. We're talking about the stairwell on the other side.
Yakpung looking for the jump into the back, will get booped away for a little bit. Bomb coming out, unable to find a pick, and Ivy's going to be sent for a dip
Sato
in the river, but Sato as well. Going to get knocked to the side as Yakpung has a Primal Rage rolling, jumping in, rejoining with the rest of his squad. Trying to keep them safe, but Roki just going to get sniped at by Boombox.
And it's in moments like this, you can see the value of the bridge. The commentators, you know, here at the Overwatch League, we're always talking about it, fight on the bridge, control the bridge. But you can see the defender always can knock people off and take these favorable fights, or just back away. They've got more options.
Carpe building up, getting ready to have that next grab online, just 15% away. Bradley's rolling through, armoring him up. He can play a bit further forward. Sees Envy, tries to melt him out of that neck. Able to do so far, but now has 100 energy. Goes ahead, throws down the grab straight on the inside. Draws him in. The kills will come through. Roki just trying to stay alive. Works his way back across the bridge. This time not going to get sniped, but Toronto Defiant having their time dwindle away, and they still haven't even made it that far past A.
Yeah, it really has been a very weak push. And when you look at how they have to try to use this grab now, it's going to be so far away from where they want to use it, where they want to control that high ground, which is like a pipe dream now of even walking there, even getting there. And you have to cross a bridge, which puts you at risk of your grab getting eaten, because look at where Poco is standing. Where else are you going to put it? You can't throw it in the wall if there's no wall. There's an edge of the bridge. So this is so difficult right now for the Defiant.
Pushing his way forward. Ivy getting stunned up, goes low. Just managed to stay alive for a little bit longer. Now it's going to be the Shatter coming through. Neko already using that Transcendence to try to keep them alive, but Roki and Ivy, Yakpung all going to be taken down, and time again, Toronto Defiant just cannot make it across this damn bridge.
Yeah, the Defiant have had some nerve issues throughout this season. They've got a rookie on their squad who's only played 2 matches, and you know, you could feel that here. Ivy's hesitation, he jumps in with his right click, doesn't grab, gets stunned, gets killed. Whereas Fusion are cool, calm, and collected right now. They've been here 1,000 times.
And good stability after the questionable Transcendence that we saw from Boombox just a little bit earlier.
Sure.
Rally starts singing for I'm 37. Bomb going to be thrown into the back. Envy looking for this one to pop, and it will. Neptuno and EQO both going to be taken down. Oko trying to delay as best as he can. Gets some knockoff onto Yakpung, sending him into the canal. But majority of the squad here for Toronto Defiant still sitting pretty, still going to be alive. They can finally get that cart rolling, but it's less than a minute remaining, and they're only halfway to B.
Yeah, and they're also not going to be able to take this high ground. I don't think it's going to be close. We'll have to see Fusion sprint back with Carpe's respawn here. It's going to be oftentimes what decides how quickly you can take B, or if you can take B at all. Okay, they do hold it, but Fusion did not get back in time. They wanted to regroup first. They're going to try to challenge it. Carpe's going up right now.
Yeah, start pushing their way up. Carpe not going to be the highest energy Zarya at the moment, but still getting some free shots in. And Envy, he snatches another grab. Takes that one right out of the air. Yakpung hitting the ground, however, will still be punished. Sato comes up with a kill. The Philadelphia Fusion trying to stay alive through that sound barrier. Grab going to be coming in. Boombox not yet having that Transcendence. Pops it late, but already 3 members are going to be dead. Can they actually try to turn this one around? I don't think it's going to happen. He pushes over to keep Sato alive. The cart going to continue to advance with 8 seconds remaining. It seems like Toronto Defiant again will scrape by, make it into B.
Carpe has a good understanding of how to take that high ground away, and that's what he needs to do, and that's where he wants to use his grab. That's where he wants to do his damage. He also knows he can build energy while heading up there, but it's so predictable that it's really easy for Envy to notice that he's about to use it and then eat it up like that. Overextends here, however, and we'll have to remag using the self-destruct, and that's one less ultimate for them. Not the end of the world, one of the quicker building ultimates, but still nice here for the Fusion.
And it's still a freebie that they snag for themselves. So you know, they don't have to worry about blocking. Defiant trying to wrap their way around the high ground. Yakpung just going to be dropping in straight in front of him. Stand up for the moment, gets the shield raised, trying to stay alive. All resources going into Yakpung. We'll be able to keep him alive, and the Shatter is going to whiff. Goes straight into the shield of Sato. Says, thank you for that one. Poco going to be knocked out of the mech in the meantime, but Yakpung's still going to be taken down. They will surge forward and continue to find kills. Will the Philly Fusion.
You could practically feel the shaky hands of Yakpung in a moment like that, where there were about 3 chances for him to have an amazing shatter there, but he was being knocked around. And he's like, I really don't want to miss this. I really don't want to mess this up. And you could almost feel the frustration of, I missed all my chances. I'm going to just go for it here. And it totally whiffs. That's one of your biggest tools. You could feel that frustration, you know, of Orion who's just trying to hit that shatter. He cannot.
Yep.
This is a great place to grab for Carpe.
I mean, they're moving away from the cart right now. He's going to grab him right off the cart. Can they even get over there in time to force out the OT? Bomb comes in, locks up 2, and no, they cannot. That's as far as it's going to go, just a bit past B. Philly Fusion, again, in a position where they don't have to push very far. They don't have to finish the map. They just have to roll through, get a little bit further than Toronto, and this time it would close out the series for them 3-1.
Yeah, and now the Defiant are going to have to hope that they can hold the courtyard for a long enough time to maybe try to full hold A, or maybe they're going to try to take control of the bridge. There are ways to, you know, defend very differently from the Fusion, because the Fusion played aggressively. They tried to contest. They tried to use that Transcends we talked about with Boombox. Then they tried to use the bridge as their Alamo. They ended up losing out there and lost control of the high ground briefly. It looked scary at times. If Defiant want to take a more passive, a more defensive approach to this, there's potential for them to have a better hold and to really eat through that clock. But right now, if you're a Fusion fan, you're not worried because they have the advantage. This is one of their better maps. And even if, worst case scenario, they lose this, they go to a map 5. So I feel like Philly doesn't have anything to fear. As you can see here, it looks like on IM37's screen where we might be having a bunker composition.
Yep, seems like it. So pushing forward, get set up around A. It will be the Bastion for IM37. Ivy going to be on the Farah with Neko there on the T. So we'll see how quickly he can get that Amp Matrix ready to go.
Yeah.
To try to shut down at least the initial couple waves of attack.
This is one of the best ways to really eat through a time bank if you're successful. And it's even having to swap compositions as we saw from the Fusion just previously on Paris, that costs them a whole minute of time. It's not going to cost them this much this time because they can instantly respond. They see it immediately and they know exactly what they want to do. Well, as I say that, they know exactly what they want to do.
The Paris shuffle again, you know, just really trying to figure out.
But even that has already eaten away 30 seconds of the clock, so.
Yeah. And now got to try to break through. The barrier going to disappear.
Nice
the Helix Rockets from Poco actually does manage to find IM37. Now going to be pushing up. Trying to make sure that that res cannot come through. And yeah, Roki is already way out the back, just pocketing Ivy the entire time. So is not going to be able to put that Bastion back into the fight. So IM37 going to be running back from spawn. Now I have to be worried about EQO with this concussive blast, trying to knock them into the water.
The Helix Rockets are one of the most burst damages you can have on an ability in the game, and it's so difficult to play around that when you don't know where the soldier is. Gonna break this bunker.
Pile driver coming through. IM37 trying to stay alive. Immortality field has been used.
Really good immortality field.
Yeah, but EQO has just been farming up barrage shards that entire time as they sat still. Now it's gonna be Matrix coming in. IM37 melts down Carpe, but Yakpung going to be taken out. So now going to be without some barriers. Boombox dangerously low in the corner. Will get headshot by IM37, so they finish him off right before he can get that Transcendence online. Rez comes through onto Carpe. They try to hold him back in for the pick. He gets taken down by Neko in the end.
I don't mean to be overcritical, but I feel the Fusion respected neither the immortality field. They did not focus it down. EQ instead just tried to farm ult. Nor did they respect the amplification matrix. Sato got caught there. Boombox was trying to flank. He got caught out alone. And you know, IM37 is able to just in recon mode go over and pick him off. This is a lot of time down the drain. This is exactly what you want as a Bastion comp. In the minds of the Defiant, they've already bought enough time with this comp. And now the ult, the configuration tank, the barrage, these are just bonuses. You know, they could win the map off of this. That was never their original plan, but they've already bought so much time.
It's definitely a feel-good moment at the start here for them. Shots coming down. Ooh, might be going low.
Okay, the Dragon Strike is one of the easiest ways to break this.
Oh, hello! Poco! He didn't know it was coming, but Sato was at least a little bit more prepared. Managed to find the kill here onto Ivy. Now the Dragon Strike going to be rolling in. Claims the lives of 2. Yakpum going to get knocked in by the swinging Sato with that Wrecking Ball. And that will be a snatched up by the Philly Fusion. Things are looking so darn good at the start of that one.
Yeah.
But everything very quickly crumbles.
So one of the reasons why a lot of teams don't like to run the bunker on this map for defense is because when you run it, you have to swap after you lose the first fight and lose the first point. And then that means the bridge goes across for free, as you can see here. The Fusion, they already were running the quote-unquote comp you want to hold on the bridge with. So they didn't have that problem, but the Defiant give this corner for free. So that's a bit stressful. That's one of the trade-offs of the Bastion comp.
It's already so much space gained Bomb into the back from NB, gonna lay that one right on the boat, but unable to find any kills with it. Shields going lower and lower. Sato charging forward, looking for a kill. But isolated himself, he's still stuck in a corner. They cannot keep him alive, but it's gonna be at the cost of both Yakpung and Neko. Now I'm 37, dead as well. So a 4-for-1 trade. Philadelphia Fusion, looking a bit like the Vancouver Titans right there.
Yeah, there was
Sacrifice bumper, win the fight.
There were a few heroes that got super low there that they just couldn't finish off. EQO, one of them, in the corner. And now look at this. This is the high ground that they really needed to hold, the bridge they really needed to hold. You know, potentially if they were going to make that swap faster, they will get neither of them.
Have to desperately try to hold this here. Yakpung getting that armor pack. Transcendent's going to be in from Boombox and still very far away from the Graviton Surge at the moment for Ivy. But will just get taken down. The cleanup coming through. As it's a near team wipe, Neko going to be the only one retreating back towards spawn at the moment, waiting desperately for his teammates to join in. Chasing very far forward to try to get him. Cart's still going to be brought up by one person. And they might actually get him. Yes, they do. Boombox manages to find the hit. Now the grab coming through. Could this just be it? I think it is. They have Poco sitting on the cart. And it's just gonna glide through for the victory. 3-1 Philadelphia Fusion. They take Rialto, they take the set.
Very well played by Carpe there in the end. Chased down Neko. Probably didn't realize he didn't even have his Transcendence ready, but he was trying to force it, but he kills him regardless. He doesn't have Trans. And it's just an easy cleanup from there. Well played by the Fusion. They're gonna take the lead and jump up to the 7-3 score line here. We'll rock it up to about top 3, at least in the current standings here for the season. And really good coordination. Rocky start on, Busan. It wasn't the easiest 2-0 they got on that map. It was much closer then. Had some problems on Paris, but overall, I think their experience is what really shows through here against the Defiant that still aren't that used to this stage yet. It's a much different stage than what they played on in Korea.
Yeah, I mean, last two maps just not as competitive as they would have liked. Dangerously close to getting the finish on Blizzard World, but very far away for Rialto. So still some things to tune up for the Toronto Defiant. We'll see how they bounce back in their future series, but for now, the Philadelphia Fusion can be feeling good about that scoreline, getting that 3-1 victory here in the end. But guys, we got Danny Lim down on the floor, standing by with Carpe. Let's go ahead and hear from him.
Thank you guys very much. I am here with Carpe from Philadelphia Fusion. Carpe, congratulations on the win. Now, during halftime, I got to talk to your team, and they spoke really highly of your work ethics. Whether you win or lose, you're always doing VOD reviews and trying to better yourself as a player. How do you approach each match in the Overwatch League for you, like personally? 솔직히 말해서 이제 카페 같은 선수는 굉장한 선수잖아요. 제가 팀한테 여쭤봤는데 팀에서 이런 말씀해 주시더라고요. 굉장히 이게 승리이건 패배이건 카페 선수는 항상 열심히 게임 리뷰도 하고 항상 열심히 연습을 하고 좀 이렇게 진지한 모습을 많이 보여준다. 카페 선수 좀 이렇게 모든 경기, 오버워치 리그 경기를 좀 어떻게 임하시나요?
우선 오버워치 리그에서 제가 경기할 때 매 순간 최선을 다하고 그리고 저희 팀이 이겼으면 좋겠다는 마음 때문에 매일 열심히 연습하고 있어요.
Every match that I partake in, I always give it my best shot. Whether we win or lose, we always try and aim for a win. So I practice every single time to my best of my abilities. All right, cool. Next match on Saturday, you guys are going up against London Spitfire. Rematch, from what I know, I think it was 3-1. You guys beat London Spitfire in stage 1, 3-1. How confident are you that you guys could beat them once again? 자, 다음 경기 토요일 날 이제 런던과의 경기가 있습니다. 이길 수 있다고 확신하시나요?
런던이 이제 좀 다시 잘해지고 있다고 생각을 하는데 그래도 저희한테 안 될 것 같아요.
I personally believe London is getting a little bit better right now, but honestly, I don't think they could beat us. Alrighty, that's it for me. Back to you guys, casters.
Thank you very much, Danny. Good to hear from Carpe there, and good to see the win coming through for the Philadelphia Fusion. They got to be feeling good about that one, but Toronto Defiant is back to the drawing board, trying to clean some things up for those future series. Let's go ahead and take a look, however, at who our player of the match is, presented by Omen by HP. It's going to be Boombox.
Boombox, the rare support making it into the player of the match here. He had a great game on the Zenyatta. We did criticize his last trance there on Rialto, but generally speaking, not even generally speaking, just outstandingly, he had a great game on Zen. And he also was able to play the Roadhog, right? And that's something that is, generally speaking in this type of meta, the support's job. Like, Roadhog in-game is not a support hero, but, we don't have any sort of restrictions on how many tanks you can have in the game, so the support will actually take that role because the trade-off in terms of pick potential versus the lost healing is better when the support is doing that. So, you know, just generally speaking, especially because he was playing that hog, he does lead damage 3,000 over the healing he did. That was actually, that's Zenyatta exclusive.
Yeah.
Might be on that one, so even more impressive.
A very solid performance from Boombox. Some clutch moments, one Transcendence there on Rialto. A little bit questionable, but otherwise, pretty clean stuff from him. Didn't see any subs coming through, no Elk this time around. But guys, we still have more games coming up this week. This is just day one. We've got plenty more Overwatch action to be had, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. But coming up next is going to be the Watchpoint post show, so make sure you don't go anywhere. So we'll have the desk breaking down the action from today.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Want a selfie again? You know what's up.